Fasten your seatbelts for the realest Eagles and Sixers YouTuber! One who plays no clickbait and gets to the point! The myth, the legend, Nicky Stees! Come to my channel, you know the deal. Yo, boy, always keeps things real. I'm simply statue, think and slate, dropping unrealistic magic. Who can takes for the clip? Even though cats like that get views closer to the millie. Never hear me preach, flip on to Philly. Before you watch the Eagles all the way through the early 22. Authentic talk, forget what others do. Come to my channel, you know the deal. Yo, boy, always keeps things real. The 24/7, 365 way. Sports content for the reals that feel the game. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a special live stream here from Nicky Stees at 8 p.m. on a Friday night. The Eagles beat the Patriots in the second preseason game by a score of 14-13. We got Daniel coming in early in the chat. So for this one, it's going to be probably about 30 minutes at most. We're going to mostly go over the game, mostly the player stats. We're going to talk about some of the things that happened. However, we did get a few things that happened too, a few injuries. John Ross got injured. He was in concussion protocol. It was confirmed shortly after the game that he was in concussion protocol. Also, you had Tyler. That's one thing right there. Now, for John Ross, this might be the beginning of, this could be the end of the season. Sadly, an injury like that, because John Ross was pretty much here to fill a roster spot to begin with. He wasn't in the NFL at all. Last couple seasons, he had been relegated to a practice squad guy from a first-round pick for the Bengals in 2017. And now he's coming in on the Eagles roster just hoping to be on the team. And then, he gets his concussion. And it was also a shame that Tyler Steen got a knee injury. He left the game. He was carted off. Now, there hasn't been an update on Steen's injury yet and whether or not he's fully recovered, whether or not he'll be ready to go in time for the regular season or how long he'll be out. Now, obviously, with it being a preseason game, we knew they'd pull him from the game because they don't want to take too many chances on their players. So it's obvious Steen left the game or because of that right there. Yeah, so obviously, with that being said, hopefully he's all right. Hopefully he'll be able to go regular season time now. Because we will have to wait and see what they reported on his injury. And I'll come back with that one later. So that's the injury report that we came out of this game. Now, for the game itself, we got going a little bit in the second half on the defensive side of the ball. The most notable thing from this game was that the Patriots played their starters and we did not. They played their starters early. Now, they did start Jacoby Brissett, which I'm guessing they put him ahead on the depth chart as of now, but there's a good chance with the game and the way it played out, maybe Drake May might beat out Jacoby Brissett for the spot on that roster. But we will ultimately have to wait and see on that right there. So, hey, but that's for the Patriots, though. Now, from our side, we did get a pick by Avonte Maddox on Jacoby Brissett early. That was one of the highlights of the first half. That goes to show you Avonte Maddox, when healthy, has been one of the better players in this Eagles system, and he's a veteran who knows the defense, which is why we brought him back to help with our secondary. And he can also be a mentor to the guys too, to younger guys. So that's a good thing right there. Now, obviously, like I said, we didn't play our starters. I was hoping we would at least give our starters a little more time in this one, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, but we really didn't. We kind of just let them just go. We just put whoever we wanted in there. We kind of knew this was going to happen, particularly in the offensive side of the ball. We know Jeremiah Trotter Jr., he didn't really play much. We did get James Barry got a little bit of playing time in this game. But it's just like, this wasn't really that. It wasn't really anything special from this team. Like Trotter Jr., he had one tackle. We also had a missed tackle on that drive, right on the drive where the Patriots marked down the field and scored when Drake May ran into him. And Eagles defense did look a little rusty against Drake May early. He completed that 12-yard gain to Javon Baker on a third down, which helped keep the Patriots drive alive. And there was that touchdown run. So Drake May did lead a few scores against us in the first half. Then the second half, the defense just zoned in, and they didn't let anything up at that point. You had Drake May had a fumble, he had a botched snap, and the Eagles took advantage of a green quarterback being in for the Patriots in that situation. Now and then for the defense, those were the takeaways right there. I was really hoping that we would at least give some of our guys more playing time right there, but we just kind of didn't. I was hoping we would give, a rookie, at least our rookies time, but I guess we just didn't do that. But, it's a preseason game, so we weren't going to give them too much time. But I feel, personally, we should at least give our guys some time, particularly with the secondary. We want to give Quinion Mitchell some time, but we didn't. And he looked solid last week against the Ravens for the time he played, but I thought he should have got some time this game since the Patriots were playing their starters. Be like, hey, let's put him up against another NFL team starters. Let's test him. Let's see what he does. So then we can evaluate the play, evaluate the tape and see, okay, here's the good, here's the bad. Now, Trotter Jr., he didn't look as hot in this game going against some of the starters. And then on the flip side, we go to the offense. On the offensive side, there's really not a deep assessment for this game at all, because on the offensive side of the ball, most of the guys were at, you didn't have any of the guys there. Jalen Hurts, no Saquon, no Devontae Smith, no A.J. Brown, no Dallas Goedert, or any of those guys. Now, we saw in joint practices, these guys smoked them. I dropped a short on my channel about Devontae Smith burning Christian Gonzalez on practice with a smooth route. We saw Saquon had a nice play. So if you go through like the Eagles Instagram or you watch highlights from the joint practices, when the starters were on, the Eagles starters were getting the best of the Patriots. Now, to be fair, that was joint practice, and last night's game was just a preseason game, to be fair. However, to me, the thing I'm picking up on it from what I saw of those joint practices before the game was Eagles have the talent to make a run. The Patriots are a team complete rebuild mode. Obviously, their starters were going to get the better of the Patriots starters in certain situations. Even though those were just practices, that was obvious. So I guess the Eagles, on one hand, in practice, we saw some good plays there in practice. That's a nice sign for the starters. So I guess the Eagles like, okay, we don't really need to play the starters. They want to look more at Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee, see, okay, which one of these two guys is going to be our backup? So that's why, now you think about it, it makes sense for why they did it that way. Give those guys the playing time so you can make that decision, okay, who's going to be your backup? That's the point of it right there. And you also, then you want to do the same with the defensive guys. I thought would like to have seen a little bit more of Quinion Mitchell, did he play? Quinion Mitchell, actually, I stand corrected, he did play. He had a little bit of playing time, and you got Nakobe Dean was in there. He had 4 tackles in that game. He actually stepped up and showed something, which was cool. But outside of Nakobe Dean, there wasn't really much to write home about on defense. And there was one other thing. We had one big sack from Nolan Smith Jr., which We saw the highlights too on Instagram. That was a nice play right there. Just came in and leveled him. And then outside of that, though, yeah, it wasn't really anything special. I mean, the rest of this team just kind of, I don't know, man. I mean, it is a preseason game, so we're not going to go deep into it. Just going to take a look right here. We see Nolan Smith. This was a nice play. He's able to brush off two guys and get to Drake May and make the play. That was beautiful right there. So we did see the defense improve in the second half, though. Like we said, they got a few takeaways, and they did stop them in the second half, which was nice. They only gave up one field goal. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. But yeah, so and then for the game, though, sorry, but I just had to grab a sip of water real quick. So for the game, now on the offensive side of it, Kenny Pickett, now he had to go against some of the Patriots starters, and Pickett did not look so great. His statistical numbers look decent. People will look and say, oh, Pickett was 11 for 13, but he only had 67 yards. He's limited in the passing game. He does not have the ability to make deep throws or do anything significant. And not to mention, he got dropped 4 times as well. Now, that's a combination of quarterback and offensive line. That's in part the offensive line not doing its job and Pickett struggling to get rid of the ball. It's those two factors right there. So that's part of it right there. And then, I mean, you got that right there. I mean, and for the running backs right there, I didn't really see anything like that truly stood out. And we got that short touchdown run at the end, but that was just a short run at the end of the game against the Patriots backups. Like, I'm not seeing anything from these running backs that's telling me, hey, these guys are going to make the roster. I just don't see that coming here in this. I don't see it. But ultimately, preseason, really, like I always say, it's about deciding roster spots. It's not about finding out who's going to start. About seeing, okay, who maybe has the opportunity to make a run and go deep for. Who has the opportunity to make a run? And you got Tanner McKee. He was 11 for 19, 140 yards. Now, he played better statistically, but this was also against the backups, too. So you had that right there as well. Now, Tanner McKee, yeah, I mean, solid performance. Now, some people are automatically saying, okay, he's going to be the backup over Pickett. He's going to be the backup. I'm thinking if you really want to make that decision on who's going to be the backup between Tanner McKee and Kenny Pickett, this next preseason game against the Vikings next Saturday, 1 p.m., you know what you do if you really want to get a good evaluation? You start Tanner McKee in that game. I'm serious. Start Tanner McKee, see what he does, compare his performances to Kenny Pickett's performances. Then you could make a decision on who you think should be the second string quarterback. So I'm coming out here right on the limb and saying that start Tanner McKee next week to get a full evaluation. Because you got to remember, Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee played against different levels. They had different lineups on the Patriots defense they mainly went against. So that plays a role in it too. So I think that's how you settle the debate. Now, ultimately, hey, it's going to be a backup right there. Also, either way, one of those guys is going to be the backup, and neither guy is really going to be the true starter for this team. Nah, you're not going to have to play. They'll only be in an emergency situation if needed. And even then, we don't know how they're going to fare in that situation going against a real NFL team. So, hey, I mean, it was a decent performance by Tanner McKee. But at the end of the day, man, I just don't know what to do. Now, Kenny Pickett also did, to be fair. Like I said, he was under a ton of pressure, so I got to give him some benefit of the doubt for getting dropped that many times. Now, he looked this else. But hey, well, let's decide there with the quarterback role. And Tanner McKee himself confirmed the obvious that, oh, hey, we're going to compete for the starting job. And that's obvious. Other notable things, you had Joseph Nagda at wide receiver. He caught a few passes in this game. That shows he may be worthy of making the practice squad, but we'll have to see as time goes along with the roster cuts right there. And for this game right here, I mean, there's really not a whole lot to say about this game in itself right there, except well, mainly I'm going to keep an eye out, see what's the follow-up injury report on Tyler Steen. Is he going to be out for a significant period of time? Is he going to be out temporary? I'm hoping for that report to come over the weekend or sometime on Monday. And then we can go from there, and then we'll talk about it more from there. And you did have a few highlight plays that are worth shouting out. You did have Brandon Smith, got on the snap after, Bailey Zappi with 147. We helped run the clock out. That's nice. You had Bryce Huff had a few decent plays, stopping a running play. And he did have a few rushes right there. That was cool. Like I said, the Avonte Maddox interception. And Kenneth Gainwell got a few carries and did 3 carries and 8 yards. That's all right for what he got. Nakobe Dean looks solid out there, but these are still preseason games, though, guys. We got to keep that in mind. So it's worth shouting out what we saw on the field or what we can take away from the stats, whichever or both. But at the end of the day, ultimately, hey, it's still preseason game. Not going to say too much about it. So this is going to be a shorter stream. Well, I'll share the screen with you guys real quick if you guys want to see the stats for the game. We'll go through both the individual and the team stats in one moment. So we'll start with the player stats. Key 15. But you see, McKee only completed 4 more passes, but look at the yard difference in completion between them. Tanner McKee can at least move the ball a little bit deeper. Sure, you're going against backups in a preseason game, but you still have to be able to throw the ball downfield yourself. You have to physically be able to move the ball with it and throw passes, 10, 11 yards or further. Or, if you can't throw the ball past 6 or 7 yards, and that's on you. It doesn't matter the competition you're playing against. So that plays a role too. McKee can move the ball more than Pickett. And you see for the running backs, Price 428, Shipley 515, 4 for 10 Luo, Will Greer 1 for 8. Pickett tried to scram. I mean, game 3 for 8. Nothing special. Receiving Joseph Nagda, 5 receptions, 88 yards. EJ Jenkins, 5 receptions, 47. Will Shipley, 431. Austin Watkins, 328. Nothing special. John Ross had that 1 reception before he was out. Defense, like I said, Nakobe Dean had a few tackles. Tristan McCollum, Avonte Maddox in that pick. 3 tackles in that pick. All right. I'm just going to kind of skimming down the screen because there's nothing really that stands out in this game. We have John Ross had a few nice kick returns before he left with a concussion, which was showing he might have had potential as a kick returner, but unfortunately, we'll now know. Maybe he might, but with him being in concussion protocol, he's going to miss that time as we can get the final roster together. Now you see for the Pats, Drake May, 6 for 11, 47 yards. He had a few okay plays, but in the third quarter, we shut him down. Percent 3 for 7. You see now why he's a journeyman backup. Rondé Moore Stevenson, 6 carries, 18 yards. All right. Kevin Harris and Drake May ran a little bit. Keyshawn Boltol, 3 receptions, 23. I'm just kind of, you guys can look at the screen if you want to. Oh, look, Jalen Reagor. Jalen Reagor caught a pass in a preseason game against the Eagles. Good for Jalen Reagor. But on a serious note, though, yeah, these are just preseasons. So it's nothing special. But you have David Wallace had 2 returns for 76 yards. Oh, Jalen Reagor did have 1 for 15. I don't know if you guys caught that, but kind of just leave it at that, man. So, hey. So the Eagles, hey, they got the win, and it's only a preseason game. I pretty much said everything I was going to say about it. Mainly just to recap the main things. I'd say let's go next week. Let's give McKee the start. Let's see what John Ross' concussion does, if how it affects his chances of possibly making the team, even as a kick returner. Also have to see the update on Tyler Steen's injuries. So that's the main things I'm going to keep an eye on going forward. And also keep an eye out for roster cuts as well. So I'll leave it at that. So to everyone that tunes in, thanks for tuning in. I hope you're enjoying your Friday night, your Saturday or Sunday, or whatever time you're catching this, either on YouTube or on Spotify, on the Hardcore Sports Network Spotify page. So before I go off, I'm going to quickly share both channels because this is streaming on YouTube, on Nikki Stee, my channel, Nikki Stee's, and the Hardcore Sports Network. Share them real quickly with you. Here's my channel right here. So you guys can sub me up there if you haven't done so already. A little over 500 subs. Let's keep it going. And here's the Hardcore Sports Network's YouTube channel. You can hit them up. So yeah, again, everyone, thanks for tuning in. I hope you're having a great Friday night or Saturday or whatever time of day it is. Enjoy. Have a great night or day. Nikki Stee signing off. We'll catch you next time. Fly, Eagles, fly.